Okay, the agenda for Lynn Zoning Board of Appeals for Tuesday, December 6, 2022, will not come to order. Please call the roll.
Member Bennett?
Here.
Member Duffy?
Present.
Member Maggio?
Present.
Member Olson?
Present.
Member Lopez Hernandez?
Present.
Member Makua?
Present.
Member Wooten?
Present.
Member Crowitz?
Present.
Member Kalman?
Present, we have a quorum. The minutes of the last meeting, is there a
I'll make a motion to,
motion to accept them as read?
yes.
A second.
Thank you.
Second. Call the roll on that.
Member Lopez Hernandez to accept the minutes?
Yes.
Member Makua?
Yes.
Member Wooten?
Yes.
Member Crowitz?
Yes.
Member Kalman?
Yes, we have a quorum. First case this evening is 471 Linfield Street. Mr. Wooten, can you please read the description of it?
Case 471 Linfield Street, parcel number 062 07 056 057 036-776-019. Petitioner 471 Linfield Street, LLC Albert V. DiVergio II, manager by the attorney Samuel Vitale, to vary the provisions of the City of Lynn Zone Ordinance to permit alteration, renovation, and extension to a pre-existing non-conforming building used as a real estate office and store with commercial greenhouse to provide for 3 residential units. A use not otherwise allowed in the R1 district above the extension of the retail store office space. Variance request requires the zoning board of appeals. Sorry about that. Office space
With
on-site
yeah.
parking for 25 vehicles, some with less than the required setback. The variance request requires the zoning board of appeals to specify fine that owing to circumstance relating to the soil condition, shape, or topography of such land or structures, and especially affecting such land or structures, but not affecting generally the zoning district in which it is located, a literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would involve substantial hardship, financial or otherwise, to the petitioner, and that desirable relief may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without notifying or substantially derogating from the intent or purpose of such ordinance.
Thank you. The hearing's closed in favor. Mr. Vitale, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Attorney Sam Vitale. With me is the petitioner, Al DiVergio, and he brought his pep squad with him as members of his family. This proposal deals with 471 Linfield Street. A locus I'm familiar with. I drive by it every day and night because I live in the area, as does Al and his family. We were here 2 years ago, I think December, with this property when Al acquired it. At that point in time, we had gone to the city council previously because the city council in 1976 had approved the store, the greenhouse, and an office at that location, and we went to the city council to amend that special permit, and then we came before you with respect to the use of the property for Al's real estate office. But this, I brought with me, I think, 10 copies, and Mary will share the pack. You can hand these down.
I can share with you.
What it is, over the years, starting in the early 1920s, there was a garage and maybe one of the first gasoline stations in the city of Lynn, a service station. And it continued that way for a period of time, and then you'll see in the 1930s, it became a store with a dwelling. And then in 1960, it became a place that some people still are familiar with called the Wayside Pharmacy, which, of course, lent itself because it was across the street from what was then the Union Hospital. And then it became, in 1976, the Florist Shop, which again, because the hospital was there, but now the hospital's gone, and there are some proposed changes that are happening in this area because the city council rezoned 500 Linfield Street. And if you're familiar with what Union Hospital used to be, there's now the urgent care. Mass General and Brigham have a facility adjoining the urgent care. But really what's happening in the area is this. It's called Woodland Village. And why I wanted to just show you this is that it's bringing 26 new single-family homes in the back parking lot of the hospital. It's bringing 5 buildings on the front side where Union Hospital used to be. So this is the schematic of Woodland Village that the city council approved is being built, showing the 26 homes at the rear. And then walking past.
Can we see that?
Excuse me?
That
Can we
one's
see
it.
that? Thank you.
I'm gonna hand them out. And then this shows the total parcel with what they plan to do. You can get your bearings showing what's going to, that I just referred to, the element care, urgent care. This is the Linfield Street side. And then walking trails and whatever. And then ultimately, this is what it's going to be, 5 buildings. And this is literally at 500 Linfield Street across the way from the site we're talking about tonight. So for many years, there'd been just a greenhouse from about the 70s until we came here 2 years ago, and we expanded the use to include office space for Al's real estate business. At that time, we recognized the need in the community, and we kept a community room. And earlier, I gave Mary some pictures. Those pictures are from the first grade mother's PTO at the Shoemaker School, which is the neighborhood elementary school, doing wreath making in the community room, which is still there and will be maintained should the board approve this proposal. This proposal really asks you to do 2 things. The first relates to use. The building has had a mixed use since 1933. And that mixed use has always been a combination of commercial and residential, and then just commercial, and then an extension of the commercial. And now we want to go back and have a mixed use of residential and commercial. So with respect to dimensional requirements, the only dimensional requirement that we have asking relief for is the one with respect to the 5, we have 25 parking spaces. We're asking for relief because some of those spaces don't have the 5-foot buffer, just a few, and I will show you on the big board when we bring that up. And the other, we meet the other dimensional requirements. But then the second item is the extension of the use to allow residential above the extending of the office and the commercial space. So we would maintain the community room that we established a couple of years ago, in which we make available to civic groups, other groups in the area who want to use it for meeting places. And as I say, as recently as Monday night, they were making wreaths in there for the PTO at the Shoemaker School. Al's going to bring the boards up so you can get a bigger picture of people like I have failing eyesight. This helps with respect to the front and on the back of the dimensions. I also want to submit the letter from one of the abutters in favor of one of the.
Hold on. One speaker at a time.
And then I think we got one other board, right? Yeah.
You should hold that up so everyone can see it.
Al, you're gonna have to explain to us. I think you probably just take it back and then. Yeah.
So, with respect to what the relief is that we're seeking, it's not having for every one of the 25 spaces the 5-foot buffer. And the second item of relief is the use variance, which you granted previously 2 years ago, and which the city council concurred and granted in December of 2020, in which the city council also granted a special permit in 1976. So part of the evolution of this property is the reality of what's happening in this area. And the reality of what's happening in this area is going to be a lot of people, residential uses, but the medical village is that 5-building complex that's going to be built. So obviously, the highest and best utility of this site would be to serve the people not only like us who live in the neighborhood, but all of those who are going to be coming to the neighborhood. And if you're familiar, as we are, the businesses that are located at that end of Linfield Street really thrive on the fact that they are servicing people in the neighborhood like us. So I represent Shop Quick, which is there and has been there many years. There are the little theater is now, I think Angela's, it's just turned over, has become a daycare and a kind of a preschool facility that my kids went to. I don't know if your kids were that. But so the area is changing, and we want to take advantage of that. In the 2 years that Al has been there, he's upgraded the property, maintained it, and I think, given his record in connection to the city, he'll do an excellent job as bringing this to fruition and adding to the services that can be provided not only to the people who live there like us, but to the people who are going to be coming there with the development of the Union Hospital site. I'd be glad to answer questions, but Al's got on the boards, and maybe we could show you by starting with the front looks going to look like from the street.
So this is the front elevation of the property now.
Excuse me, name, address, and occupation,
Albert DiVirgilio, 34 Colton Road, in Massachusetts.
for the record.
For the record, and former police officer, real estate agent,
Thank you.
next to my wife. This is the existing structure. You kind of see that.
Why don't you slide down this way, Al, so you can...
You still share it, it's fine.
And this line of this house, I think, happens anywhere. It's basically what I'm showing you now. So this is really where the greenhouse is now.
Why don't you come this way? Come over here so we can let them all see.
And we're keeping the roof line, the structure just carries the footprint essentially, and then adds in the lower additive commercial space, and then up above the 3 residential units, which will match with the architectural design that's there now. And then down below is the schematic of how it lays out, plus all the parking in the front and all the parking in the rear of the building.
And that still shows the maintaining of the community room that we established a
Yes,
couple years ago.
what's the commercial part of it? What's going to be in there?
Well, we would be asked similar to what we have now, retail and office space.
He's there now with his real estate.
Yeah, I understand that, but this new building,
The new building that extends under, that would be retail and commercial the same, depending on what's needed in the area. So it could be a financial planner, it could be an attorney, it could be.
It can't just be anything.
Right.
but I mean, it wouldn't be a...
Yeah, you can't just say it's retail or commercial. It can't just be any commercial.
It can be commercial.
Oh, well, just,
The city council in 1976 put a store there. It's been a store since 1933.
so what, is,
We're just adding to the uses that are there. If you look at I gave you the certificate of use and occupancy, the Board of Appeals in 1933 had a store and a dwelling.
Mr. DiVirgilio, specifically, that doesn't answer my question, but continue with your presentation.
So the other flip side of these boards will have the layout of the existing shops, they're now basically in schematics, and then shows the retail and then the residential layout. So when you're looking at this side from the rear elevation, the residential is enclosed, nothing's out open in the neighborhood. So basically you'd be coming in and upstairs and down a common hall. So the 3 units are self-contained in the building. And there's 2 means of egress and means
And the site can be accessed from Hacker Road, which is at the rear, and from Linfield Street, which is at the front. So
Is that gonna be
fronts on
fully
two streets,
sprinkled, wet
fronts on
sprinkler
Hacker
system?
and
Built to the city stove,
Yeah, because it's a three-family.
whatever the city stove.
That's it.
So the plan would be to have the residents park at the rear on Hacker, and enter from the two side streets that lead to Hacker. And that the parking spaces at the front would be for the commercial space. In total, there are 25 spaces.
Plan to do a very nice job with the property. We've cleaned it up a lot since we've been there. The greenhouse is over 100 years old. I have to look up that. Before we walk into it, I have to look up and make sure no glass is falling on us. You know, it's a kind of type building. We've cleaned it up a lot. We painted it to make it look good and match the decor of the property. Like to put a flagpole in next to the property. First flagpole you see when you enter the city of Lynn from that side of the city is at Lynn Ladder. That's the first American flag we have, so this would be a nice spot to kind of match off of what's going on across the street, kind of make it a gateway in and out of the city of Lynn up on that side of the street. Questions?
Yeah, yes, I have more questions. Any other regular members have any more questions? How about the associates?
I have a
Any
few
questions?
How many spaces do you currently have?
One,
Parking spaces currently
this 24.
in your current,
Yes.
okay. And then what about the concerned traffic? I know you said the residents are gonna pull off into Hacker.
So from the back side of the building, which would be where the three residential with the 5 spaces required, or 6 we would provide.
Yeah.
Would be in the back. I always park out back, money of, if the agents come and go, we enter in and out from the back. The front has another 12 spaces that would be for consumers, if you want to put it that way.
And you don't know, and you said you don't know what those retail stores would be yet.
It's two.
It would be just
We need 5 spaces
commercial
for
and retail.
3 residents under the ordinance. We actually don't need spaces according to the building commission because of the grandfather is to the spaces in front, but we have the rest of the spaces, we calculated that in one, for I think 300 gross square feet. So with 25, we have more than what's required under the ordinance, even though we don't think we need any because of grandfather for the prior use.
Mr. Vitale, who laid out the parking plan? Was it a
There's
professional?
a survey by North Shore Survey and one by Ralph Reed.
I had a no-show survey about free and.
Free professional land surveyor?
Yeah.
Yeah, does his stamp on there?
Yes, if you look at the set of plans.
Sign his name to the stamp? He did. Could you show it to me?
Yeah, in the rear of, the rear is the architect.
We have two screening walls from Marblehead to the architect.
Yeah,
And,
but I'm
this
saying
plan was done
the
by
parking.
North Shore Survey.
Let me-
It's out of the back. Yeah. And we have an additional plan done by Ralph Reed.
Okay, you have one from Ralph Reed.
Yeah, it's an additional. We wanted to make certain we had.
Okay, are these cars going to exit to Hacker Road? Are they going to pull out on Linfield Street?
It depends on what side of the property you park.
Can they, if they pull in there, can they turn around and pull out instead of backing out?
Yeah, I actually did a video of it. I put myself
You
in
did?
2 cars, measured 18 feet, and I can back out on the front part of the building on Linfield Street without hindering traffic completely.
But you turn around on a lot
You turn on the lot.
and come out,
Pull up forward.
oh, forward. So no one stands any danger of getting back over.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then on the rear, there's even more than going to happen.
Okay.
I have one more question. So before the use before was you had a mixed dwelling, you had like a single family. Previous, no, well, most it's just a relative.
Usually before it's a current use. Current
What else?
use is, a store, a greenhouse, and real estate.
Yeah, but in the documents you handed us,
Yeah.
it was previously a residence as well, correct?
In 1933.
1933, okay. And that was a single unit, single R1, is that what it was?
Yeah, that was
Okay.
1933.
Okay. Yeah,
70-something years. ago.
yeah, no, that's what I'm trying to get to. Because the issue that I have is that It's not going back to like a one family, it's going, you're proposing 3 units.
Right, they're proposing 155 across the street.
Yeah, but you're not here for the building
No,
process.
it's been approved.
Yeah,
So
so,
with the
yeah,
reality.
I'm asking my question, so.
Yeah, so we're adding 3, where they're adding 27 plus 155.
Yep, and I
Right, so we're
understand.
just talking about this one. Right?
Yeah, I don't care about the other project.
Yeah, they changed the thing like that.
So that's what I was asking. That's my concern, is that you're kind of setting a precedence that in this R1 district, you're adding the three units above.
We're asking for an extension of mixed use to allow.
But it's I'm reading this, I'm reading what you're here for the variance for, and it's,
Well, that's was written a lot of times. I'm sure the position I have, because I think we're extending the non.
okay, well, this is the information that I got, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. What we're just trying to do is take a very large property, which in the old days, if you look at the plot plan, it has three or four different lots
Yeah,
right there.
no, I understand that, and I understand what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And I see the plans and the elevations and everything, but my concern, I'm an architect, and for me, as the part of the zoning board of appeals, I'm here to protect the wellness of the city. So my concern is that you're proposing the 3 units above
Yeah.
when the area is an R1 district.
I understand, and that's,
And that's the question I have for you, and that's what
That's
I'm,
why I think it says use variance in the.
yep, and that's what,
but to make it non-technical, honestly.
In the units are like 600 square feet or 700. So
Yeah, Chairman, if I may.
they're all one bedroom.
yep, no, I understand that.
If I may, well, we're gonna, what, should try to take it less technical.
No, well, I'm just trying to go by the letter of the Mass General law.
That's why we're
Which gives us
asking.
the power to be here.
Right, that's why I'm just asking for that relief, because it would add some much-needed commercial space in that part of the city, but it would also bring 3 apartment residential units, however I want to phrase them, to an area of the city that never sees that. And they're not stacked like a 3-family, it's like 3 townhouses on the second floor that would be very, I would hope, very much needed and appreciated out in that area, to add those 3 residences. I know it's a non-conforming use and it's different.
Yep, and that's why I was just bringing it up, and that's why I was expressing my concern for this.
Right.
Mr. DiVigilio,
Yes.
there wouldn't be a retail store there without a commercial. There wouldn't be a retail store,
On the first level?
yeah.
I guess it would depend on what was needed, if a process,
Well, I'm saying, I know that some of
a
the,
floral shop,
some of the-
could be, a gift
Well, a
shop.
floral shop can go there.
some of the neighbors in the area are concerned about a retail grocery store or something.
Oh, no. You mean like a shopping thing?
Well, yeah,
Oh, fine.
okay,
Well,
that's what I mean.
there's no way of us stopping that,
There are, there are.
except you're the owner.
No, you have to get other permits
Oh, yeah, of course,
Yeah, you have
of
to get a
course, you still, well, you're getting a food because it's showing a coffee shop.
to get that. You would have to get that city council consent for a food establishment.
Yeah, I think you would have.
You have to get a special permit.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
It's showing conceptual.
Okay, so one more thing. I'd like to see you have a plan by a registered landscape architect on this job and an 18 by 24 copy to bring to at the address of all the members here. So they see it, because it was pretty there before with all the flowers and shrubbery and everything. So if you get a registered landscape architect with a Massachusetts stamp, he sign his name to it, supply this board with it, you could do that.
Yeah.
All right.
I think there was additional question here,
I have
Chairman.
an additional question in terms of trash. The area reserved for trash and snow removal, is this area supposed to service both the residential and non-residential aspects? And is the snow removal supposed to have the capacity to put both the front parking and all that accumulation area and the back?
So
And
current,
that-
Yeah, we talked about snow storage, and we talked about whether we
just currently, see, on the side here, where you see like the turn onto a patio.
Yeah.
We have 2 recycling to trash.
Okay.
Probably fill up half of one each every week, we put out on the front side of Greenfield Street. And then on the rear side, the neighbors put out on half a roadside right now, property sales, if it was three residential, it'd probably be 3 barrels, and it would go up in the rear side, because that's where the trash can pick up on that side. As far as the snow goes, right now, we plow both sides, and two things can happen. Last year wasn't as heavy so we have our own plow and sander, so we kind of take care of the back of Packer Road and our lot, and we don't ever end up with more than just a normal pile. But I know in previous years, we're trying all the plowing for the property, and Billy, if it was a heavy snow, would have to get a front loader in and just kind of remove it out of there, so it wouldn't block anything. That would be a plan for us too. Last year, we were lucky it didn't ever accumulate that heavy, but that, I know from Billy doing it in the past, and I've spoken to him, and we would call him, he could just front load it up and give us full space.
Okay, any further question? Yes, down here.
Some clarification that's commercially used here. I mean, we're saying whatever is the need, but I mean, this relief here is that it can only be a real estate office. So, I mean, the relief from the zoning board from previous, the real estate office, the stipulation is to be used for the real estate office only, right?
And if you look at the next document, the one that preceded that from the city council, it says general office, store, and real estate.
Well, that's not correct.
So that's 3 things, all right? I mean,
But the
I don't think that's
history
correct.
is that in 1933, there was a store and a residence. It became a drugstore. It became, in 1976, it became a store, a greenhouse, and flower shop. So we came in subsequent to that, we went to the city council, and that attached to it.
that's correct.
We went to the city council first, just before that. And they allowed us to have a store, a greenhouse, and a real estate.
And they,
So that's all you have, right?
That's what we have right now.
So for anything else, you would need to seek some relief.
That's what we have.
Okay, are you here for residential, right?
That's, it says in use variance. We want to have,
All commercial uses will get that.
we want to have, go back to the residential use. But the number of units we want is 3, and the months in the past, it was 1.
I understand that. To me, this is saying, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe, is that you can have a real estate office, a greenhouse, and a store, right? Right. But now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 commercial spaces.
That's the second part of the request, we want to extend the commercial space. That's correct.
It's increased.
Extend the commercial
Have
space.
office
It's there.
retail.
But it's had previously a store approved, a greenhouse approved, a flower shop approved, and then an office approved. That's the history of how we got here. Those were approvals, 2 of those approvals were from the city council, all the rest were from the Board of Appeals.
I think the concern is that it's only been one at a time. Like right now, it's being used as a real estate office. Before that, it was being used as a greenhouse, and now we're kind of adding a whole bunch of uses. Like it completely changes the space. It's not just a greenhouse now. It's not just an agency.
That's true.
I think that's all of our concern.
And part of that is appreciative of what is happening across the street. We've shut down Lynn's Hospital, the main hospital, and replaced it with a medical village, 27 residents, and 5 buildings that are going to be there, assisted living, age restricted. And so those people have the ability to shop in the area, not shop in the area, to utilize the services that are there now, services that may come. If you go to the garden site, you'll see we've only built 2 buildings in the front. Urgent care and Mass General Greens. That's the back side of the hospital, we're building 27 homes. And at the front of the building, that's where I want you to see. I want you to see what's happening in that area. There's no question that the area is changing. In 1926, the gentleman was doing automobiles. In 1933, there was a store and a residence. In 1960, there was a pharmacy. So the uses have changed as the area has changed. We operate in the environment that we're in, and that environment has changed, absolutely.
You used to have changed with permission, right? You used to have it changed with, like, permission.
Correct, in 1933, the Board of Appeals, you populated.
No, I understand, that's what I'm saying, if what was in there would not need release,
It should still need.
No, it is here, that's why we're here, we're asking. You can just buy, just wanted you to show how we didn't go from one use to these 5 uses. We went from a garage, a home store, a pharmacy, a greenhouse, a store, an office, and then a greenhouse, a store, floor shop, and then a real estate office.
Will each individual commercial space need to come forth now and present what they want to put there? I guess that's the question, right? Like,
But if you
if
want to
it's
have a use like a coffee shop, you can't do that without city council consent for what's called a food establishment. There are other levels of consents that you need for particular uses. So the only uses that are there now that are authorized are a store, floor shop, greenhouse, and real estate. Those are there.
so that's what's gonna be down here unless you get relief for something else. So
Those are there.
I understand that, so if you wanna put it in a car shop, you would have to come and get relief.
Nothing for the appropriate board. Right. So only, there are two special permit granting bodies in the city. One is the city council, and one is the board of appeals. So the city council has a defined list of uses that they can grant permission for, and the board of appeals has a list of what they can grant permission for. And so, in our instance, we went to the city council before we came to the board of appeals, and before we were involved with the property, it went to the city council to get some of those additional uses. And before it went to the city council in 1976, it went to the board of appeals. But any of the additional uses have been those that have been approved by either the board of appeals, city council. Going forward, if you have a particular use, like somebody said, a coffee shop, you need to get the consent of the city council. It's called a food establishment, and then you have to go get the approval from the board of health for permits that relate to certain food. But it depends on what the actual use is and what the use is.
Just,
Yes.
I got a couple of questions. There's going to be commercial space, and from what I understand, if you have commercial space, you're responsible for trash removal? It's, yeah, so what I'd like to see on the plan is where a dumpster or where that's going to be held specifically, and where separately snow removal will be on the front and the back of this plan, and how it would be managed. Because right now it's ambiguous, so I wouldn't want to be out Linfield Street and see plows pushing snow across Linfield Street.
No,
That's, right now, there's no plan for it.
It's the state highway.
There's no plan for it.
What it's done now, what it's done in the past, it's down here, we've always, if you had a little bit of a snowbank, you'd push a little snow up to here, and then if it built up, we would have it backhoed out.
That needs to be part of the plan. Snow removal needs to be part of the plan, where to store it.
Yeah, some space.
So where is it being stored in the front? Are you going to carry it around the back?
I think he wants you to denote it. Is it denoted on?
Oh, it's on the wrong side.
No storage area.
How
Yeah,
are you going to get the snow in the front parking lot to the back parking lot, if that's where your snow removal is?
So,
If there's a different plan, then it needs to be shown on the plan.
still have, no, I mean, I have options of, depending on the snow.
I'm not here to tell you how to do it, and it needs to be shown on the front lot and the back lot, however you want to manage it. But it's a snow storage area needs to be designated,
Yes, you can do that. Change your plan on it.
and where exactly the trash.
For every 5 spaces, take one off for snow storage.
Right, we have one
All right, so-
in the front, so I could use one of those for snow storage, so that I have more than enough parking that I need.
I mean, can you combine them for the storage?
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I
like,
could put all
but
the
he's,
snow here, or even way over here, I own this property.
Yeah, all I need you to do is show it on your plan, how you're gonna manage it, okay? Then, so there's no confusion going forward, how it's gonna
So you
be.
want to, price that, you show them that.
Yeah, but I would like it shown separately from the trash, because if you have a dumpster there for commercial use, somebody has to come in and remove that and take it out and have access to that. And it probably needs to be screened from the neighborhood as well. And that needs to be shown on the
That's why I
plan.
put it here, because this is a fence right here, and I own this property.
So show it separate from the snow storage area. It needs to be a separate space. You can't put snow on top of the dumpster.
Get a little-
Yeah. So however, yeah, whatever it is, show it so it's clear. There's no,
I'll make this into two separate.
yeah. Then, I guess well, we have two things. Is you're showing a coffee shop on these plans. There's food prep, there's traffic, there's more trash removal. I think the intent is you were talking about retail space. I think any reference to kitchen preparation and coffee shop on these plans should be taken off the plan.
Sure, it was all conceptual.
You take it off the plan so there's no confusion going forward. And then for Linfield, looking at these plans, I have a hard time envisioning traffic movement, how it gets in and out. And I don't know if you've consulted a traffic engineer to look at the safety of that, but if somebody could come up with a plan showing the traffic movement, how a vehicle moves in and gets off the site. Right now, the site is,
Video on my phone?
Yeah.
All the parking was full?
but then you're gonna have four or five, you're gonna have 4 or 5 retail spaces, but I want to see what the traffic engineer
We
would
can't see
say.
that right now, right?
Yeah, he wants to see
You have to
how it
submit-
is on
you have to
the plan,
submit it.
not on video.
So it's just something that shows how they safely pull in and pull out when they're, the parking lot is full.
You said you could turn around. Is there a turnaround thing you put on there?
I measured, I had it on my phone.
No, I'm saying-
Measured an 18,
Yeah.
9-foot wide space, I went to the small.
Yeah, but it's gotta be on the plan that you can do that.
So I think you can just consult with a traffic engineer that can show you the turning movements and just so I can see, because right now, this doesn't show the road. So I can't tell how much space, how much shoulder, how they
That's the
can
end of the
park.
back. Yeah.
These are all print copies anyway, but that's fine.
There's
Yeah,
gonna be a lot-
we
with-
measured the extent of a space from the building.
Yeah, but with,
We came up.
yeah, but with the retail, retail, there's multiple more trips generated with each business that's there. Plus you have residential and visitors for the residential on the backside. So, and this is a very busy street. Across the street, yeah, they redeveloped it, they rezoned it, but they controlled the movements. There's one way in and one way out of that place. So the movements are very controlled going out onto a very busy roadway. With these multiple stalls.
So could you put up a sign directing them to leave to Hacker Home instead of coming out on Field Street?
You can't pass by the building. So if you're on
Well, you
the backside,
can't.
no, you can't drive around this building.
I say,
Yeah. you can-
Yeah, and because, traffic on the opposite lane may try to cut across traffic, and somebody's trying to back out. So I just want to understand what the traffic movements are from a safety point of view
I can tell you this,
for commercial use.
The floral shop in its heyday, with a heck of a lot busy with cars and selling Christmas trees than I have ever been. I call myself the loneliest man in the world when I'm in work.
Yeah.
Because nobody comes in. That's not the nature of this industry anymore.
Right.
It's virtual, so.
And Linfield Street was a lot less busier than it is today as well.
I'm talking 3-4 years ago, but Grant had Christmas trees selling every year, and I mean, no one in my whole life, so he's always been busier than me. It's never.
And it's going to be the nature of the type of business that's in there and when those peak traffic movements are going to be going on compared to the peak traffic out in the street. And do those align in a bad way? So that's why I want you to get the opinion of a traffic engineer, how.
yeah, could you
what-
show us
what's the
a
impact?
sketch of how you could turn around without backing on Whitfield Street? Can you get a sketch made by the designer?
Yes.
Tony, you could do that, like in a circle or something. Would that help you?
Yes, and then
Yeah,
definitely get
do
rid of
that
any
so-
reference to coffee
So I
shop
can proceed.
and resubmit those, so there's no confusion.
Anyone else have any questions?
Can I ask Attorney Lamont a question? So I'm looking at this from the zoning board of appeals from February 2nd, 2021, that says the breakfast project, but the use is only for a real estate office only. The conversations and everything that transpired in the last 45 minutes, you don't know what the retail is going to be. So I feel like, and then I'm reading through this and it's not varying what was the stipulation that was granted on February 2nd, 2021. It's for the 3 residential units. So I'm just unclear on what the legality of it.
My concern with the request is, I was on looking at the table, section 4 has a table of uses. And in R1 district, pretty much anything under the single family home, it needs a variance.
Yeah.
And that may be in the general office, and my brother came and asked for a general office variance. But there's no commercial category. And you could make the argument, commercial category could be a bank, which you would need to come here and ask for a variance. Individually, it could be a food service establishment, my brother's correct. It would need a variance and a special permit from the city council on their ordinance. The commercial is a catch-all that encompasses probably 10 to 12 different uses that are distinct. I can see from some of the frustration that without some type of stipulation, the word commercial might just essentially any business use that I was only with a separate business use, whether it's a bank, you could pick a massage parlor, use various pretty much anywhere in the city. So that's the concern that, from my standpoint, is that you have to use variance, but there is no commercial.
Well, attorney, last time they came around, we voted on a stipulation for real estate. If Mr. Vitale here is saying that he wants to extend that, how has that been possible if we allowed you to only have, this when you bought the building, we allowed you to only have your real estate agent on the left side and a greenhouse on the right side? That's totally different from what they're asking today. You know, there was a stipulation there, real estate only.
But I'd be asking for relief for that, because
You know what I mean?
obviously I can't have.
We can't, there was a commercial.
Right.
We had-
Well, that's what you have now, though.
We asked for commercial, it was a
You have a real estate on the right side and a greenhouse on the right, on the left side, right?
Yeah, if this was built, right, I'm not gonna have. Real estate, obviously.
Okay, let's proceed now. Is there any further questions? If not, Mr. Vitale.
I have a question, Jim.
I think it's
So,
commercial.
what is our,
Said in city council consent in 1976.
Real estate is what? Retail?
No,
It's commercial.
The request in
General office.
2021 was, in my recollection, was general office.
I believe we voted on this.
And the argument that my brother made was that a real estate office is much different than a dentist or a doctor's office.
Right.
People are coming and going, coming and going.
Right.
And the board, in its discretion, said, if you're asking for general office, we feel comfortable making sure it's not going to be a general office or a real estate office from 21, 22, 23, and be able to be converted to a dentist office in 2024. So there was a stipulation where there was a desire, at least at that time.
Right.
That there was a desire, we're going to allow a general office in an area that's not allowed. But with the stipulation it's going to be real estate because real estate, as presented, was a lower intrusive.
Like, lack of knowing what the future will look like, you know, we don't have that. You know,
That's the stipulation we remove in the future, but.
Yeah.
that's the
Jim, so could it be a stipulation, it stays in office, and then if you want anything different, go to the city council, or do they come back to us? Or how much do we control the land? Is there a point when, do we just say it's commercial, or do we really try to enforce things on
we
it?
have to try and enforce. It's R1 right now.
Well, it's R1 on both sides, or
No,
that whole area is
only one.
strange. That Linfield is a very strange road.
No, it's R1.
There's an overlay district on the old Union Hospital site.
They just rezoned that. They just rezoned that.
Rezoned it,
Yeah, it's R1.
Okay,
But I sense the frustration that I think from the board is, there's no definitive set plan. So if you wanted a bank, you would come in and ask for a bank, and you vote yes or no. If you wanted a restaurant, you would come in, yes or no. If you want a retail store, you would come in and ask for yes or no. Not looking at from 1933, he may have the ability to have a retail store in the existing building. That's coming down to be extended.
all right, thank you.
Something to question
Thank you, Mr.
the
Vitale.
board.
I think because once it turns over to, 4 different commercial spaces, then the argument is, well, it's a commercial space already. We're only looking for this variance on the commercial space. So we feel like it kind of opens up the whole can of worms in a way. Oh, okay, well now it can be a coffee shop, a deli, a liquor store, if everyone got their licenses, it completely changes the entire scenario that's going on there now.
Right, it's no longer
Thank you,
R1.
Mr. Vitale. I think you're all set, right? There's no more questions.
We weren't here in 1976 when the city council said it could be an office, a store, and a greenhouse.
I was here last year.
The city council in 1976.
Well, I'm saying that's irrelevant to what we're here
So
today.
that 19.
We changed all that.
In 2020, 2020, we went to the city council again, and we asked them to amend that.
Right.
We asked them to add real estate office.
Sure.
Okay, so then we came here,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and you said real estate office.
Right.
That's, so what we have now is evolved to that thing. We want to take it somewhat further. Certainly, certain uses require other permissions that we haven't asked for.
Understood.
The food
Mm-hmm.
would require city council special permit, and there are others. But that it didn't go from a garage to where it is now without going through a series of steps, all of which got approved either by the Board of Appeals or the city council.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vitale. Anyone else here in favor of this petition?
And I think I gave you the letter from the abutter, I think.
Well,
Yep.
there is a letter here. Anyone else here in favor of this petition? Anyone else here in favor of this petition? Hearing none, I close the hearing for those in favor, no for those opposed. Anyone here opposed to this petition? Anyone?
That is to be read first.
Yeah, there's a letter sent here
There's two.
in favor. Could you read that?
Yes. Dear Chairman Cullen, I respectfully, this is from Wayne A. Losey, Councilor of Ward 1. I respectfully request your honorable body to grant the above mentioned petition to permit alteration, renovation, and extension to a pre-existing non-conforming building and to provide 3 residential units above the extension. I have spoken to the petitioner and I have not received any opposition from the neighborhood. Thank you in advance for your attention to this matter. Sincerely.
Thank you. There's no
There's one
letters
more.
of
There's
opposition.
one more that just came in for approval.
For approval there.
Hello, my name is Pat Tozier. My husband Robert and I reside at 481 Linfield Street. I'm writing this letter in support of the proposed renovation at 471 Linfield Street. Al DiVergio has already made a difference in our neighborhood by doing a major remodel of the old George floors. The Remax is warm and welcoming and no longer an eyesore. Unfortunately, the greenhouse has deteriorated and is in disrepair. I strongly believe the plans to take down the greenhouse and add the new proposed dwelling will only enhance our community. In my opinion, Mr. DiVergio seems to be very mindful of how to make our neighborhood a better place to live. Respectfully, Mrs. Patricia Tozier.
But there's no letters in opposition. Anyone else here in opposition to this? Hearing none, I'll close the hearing for that. What is the wish of the board?
There's one.
Well, I'm just gonna say, if they do move into the commercial space on the master, there's no liquor store with no varieties,
Well, you can't.
because of traffic.
You're gonna have to come and talk to the microphone and introduce yourself. You have to get up.
Mr. DiVigilio, do you agree with what he's saying?
100%.
100%.
Well,
I need his name.
Right behind the store, right behind the greenhouse.
Address and occupation. Name, address, and occupation.
What is my occupation?
yeah, what's your name?
Oh, Ron Tomczykowski.
Address
So I live right behind the greenhouse at 64 Hacker
and your
Road.
occupation.
I work for Papagino's, I'm a
Okay.
cook.
Thank you. That's for the record.
Okay, all right. I'm just saying, because the shopping super right down the street, I was asking for no liquor store and no variety store to move into the stores. And he says this is going to be just going to be like offices and stuff.
No,
We don't-
well, that's already been spoken.
We don't know that.
Mr.
We don't know that.
Well, that's what he told me. It's just going to be.
He's telling
We
us.
covered that. pretty
Yeah.
good.
Huh?
You can put that down, like what he's saying, a liquor store or what?
Yeah, because the shopping, no liquor store and no variety store.
Want that.
Yeah, because you got shopping, got a liquor license, and you got 2 variety stores on the
That's from
street.
owner.
Huh?
Does
Okay.
that satisfy you?
Yeah, well, as long,
All right.
I told him as long as the building fits the land and he's got enough parking, there should be no problem.
Yeah, we have no problem with that. That's all right, but we have parking plans. Thank you for your comment.
Yeah, well, he said the only thing I'm concerned about backing into Linfield Street, that's my biggest
Well, he's gonna
concern.
provide a plan of that, how
Yeah.
they can turn.
Yeah.
All right, that's gonna be covered.
All right? Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Now, what is the wish of the board? You made a motion to grant.
I've now
I'll make
moved.
a motion. I'll make a motion. I move that we accept this proposal with the following stipulations. He needs to, on his plans, denote snow removal. He needs to show trash areas. He needs to show, he needs to take off food service from his plans. And just put another business in there,
What kind of business?
or just an office.
Keep everything generic,
That's actually my office right now.
keep everything.
Yeah.
No, the other three retail, the other.
He would just have to say, he doesn't know, he's like a developer, he doesn't know what he's gonna get in that building. We can't control what's in that building, council controls what's
No,
in
we
that
can't.
building.
Okay, so
We don't
Stipulation, yes.
Yeah, so stipulation, and then there's a traffic engineer looks at it to show how people can turn around in the parking lot.
Do you want that?
Because we don't,
The
the
landscape.
no liquor store and no variety store, I think is completely applicable. And I think the fact that you're saying that you're not going to want that in your space is totally applicable too, but don't they have to, Mr. Lamont, maybe you know, don't they have to go to city council?
No,
to
they
get,
don't control
like a
it.
liquor store or a
Yeah,
variety store to go in there?
we do.
For liquor store, they have to go to the license commission and the city council.
Yeah.
Correct.
For the liquor store. Now what about for the variety store?
Variety store.
We do have to ask,
You have to do, depending on the wording of the decision.
Okay, so then,
Put a stipulation in this.
okay, so then we could put a
just did one
stipulation.
last week. I mean, we just did one in November on Chatham Street, the convenience store.
Please put that. I don't want to write this.
Okay, so add the stipulation, no,
Okay, that
no variety store.
on the record.
Yes, that's not good for the neighborhood.
Right,
100%.
okay.
List of all the cook.
And the other stipulation is the landscape architect.
Right.
You write that down?
I forgot that one.
Yeah.
Marijuana.
And you're gonna provide a plan
18 by 24.
for every member and have it delivered to their address? Yeah, thank you. Okay, let's have a vote on that.
But can you just,
Second,
It hasn't been, was it seconded?
it was, no,
No, it hasn't been seconded.
the chair will second the motion.
but I think, were you done with the stipulation?
Yes.
If we just read it from you one more time.
Okay.
Look,
Call the roll.
Well,
we
we
read the
have,
stipulations.
I think, yeah, because we're missing a few stipulations here.
Okay, so who seconded it? Mr. Callen?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Regarding the stipulations. So they want a denote on the plan, the snow removal and trash, correct, Mr. Lopez Hernandez?
Yeah.
Mr. Olson, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Take off the food service on the plans. No liquor store and no variety store. Traffic engineer and a certified landscape plan, 18 by 24, delivered to each member.
That's it?
You got anything else?
The traffic engineer
Brandon,
was
that was it?
make sure that the turnout,
think that it would even,
Turnarounds.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, I think it
Make
would
sense.
have those three uses, but that's just me.
Okay, call the roll.
Wait, he said something.
I didn't hear what he said.
Mr. Bennett said something.
In my opinion, it would be that you can only have those three uses without relief from this, the board.
But it's not this board that controls that, it's the council, it's the city council.
No, it's us. It's us.
But we can stop, we can
No,
stop.
we control that.
We control, I mean,
We,
we already.
so we've already stipulated, no liquor store, no variety store.
So,
Everything else, like that.
okay,
Marijuana.
so is the board good if we say that only those three things and then he has to come back every single time?
Yeah, yes,
You-
that's what we approved last time. You were here.
I know, but is that what the group
That's, I
wants?
think that's what, as a,
That's what you were trying to say. Oh, that's, I didn't understand what you were trying to say. Okay, my
Okay,
bad.
go ahead with the
I'm
vote
sorry.
now.
So we're approving the current uses now, correct?
Correct.
So we're approving
A real estate.
real estate,
The florist.
florist,
in the residential upstairs. In the residential
And
upstairs,
the
not the office.
residential, yes.
In the residential,
the three residentials?
yes.
In the residential.
Okay, so we're not approving an office.
No,
We're approving a florist and a real estate.
correct.
And anything they want to put in there, they have to come back to the board.
That's correct.
Is that correct? I just want to make sure
Yeah,
I want to make sure I'm saying it right, that's all. Okay,
So just, do I understand, so if somebody wants to put something in one of the storefronts, they have to come here to get?
That's correct. If it's not within those three
Exactly.
that is listed, that you have currently approved.
It's like a change of use type of thing. All right, call,
okay. With all those stipulations, plus including the uses that are being allowed are 3 residential units, a real estate unit, and florist unit. Anything else that comes before the board has to come before the board.
That's correct.
Okay. Member Lopez Hernandez.
Yes to grant with stipulations.
Member
Yes, the grant stipulations.
Member Wooten.
Yes, to grant with stipulation.
Member Crowitz.
Yes, to grant with stipulations.
Member Callen.
yes, they grant with stipulation.
Okay.
The plan has been approved by unanimous decision.
So just,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
for clarity,
Can I
that
do it tomorrow?
you have to resubmit the plans without the food prep.
You don't need the big ones.
No.
No, no.
Size you said.
Yeah, for the record, without the food prep.
All right, that's unanimous vote.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
One.
Yeah, we're closing.
We came back to exactly the same.
The meeting is over.